Okay, I've been having a bit of trouble with my pool lately. The water's clouded despite all the maintenance I've done, and it's been regurgitating bits of stuff back out through the water inlet after it's been through the filter. So discussion seems to indicate that it's time to replace the sand. What we're looking at here is a Poolrite s6000 Mark II. It has 135 kilo of sand in it. But I'm not replacing it with sand, I'll be replacing it with glass media. And the way things work out, they will only require 105 kilos instead of 135 as there is of sand. Okay, first things first. Before you, at some stage while you're doing it, make sure you put a lot of water in your pool, because at the end of the process you'll be running the backwash for 5 to 10 minutes, depending how long it takes to clear all the muck and murky water out. So you're going to need your pool almost full of water for it to be able to be pumped out during the backwash and the subsequent rinsing of the pipes. Okay, the job itself, you need to remove all these 3 pipes leading in to your selector. Now, I don't know, they're pretty hard, so I have a set of Stiltsons which I'll be using very gently so as not to damage or break anything. So I'll be loosening those with Stiltsons and then removing the pipes. I have with me, in addition to the Stiltsons, this small can which I'll hold under, because these things hold water and you don't want to be working in muddy and wet areas, so I just keep that there and have the water run into it, then drain it off and throw it out, and so it keeps it reasonably dry. Once you've disconnected the pipes and drain the water out, I have a large flat screwdriver. I have 2 of these retaining screws for the collar, for the locking collar. I have seen them with Phillips heads, so you'll need to do a check to see exactly what type of screws you got, but you do need a large size driver, as you can tell by the size of the screw head there. Once that's all undone, you then remove this, the standpipes immediately underneath. Now it's vitally important that nothing gets down that standpipe. You don't want any sand or glass or anything. So once I remove the selector, I have cut a drink bottle off. I'll be placing that over the top and using the duct tape to secure it. Now you don't have to use this, you could use duct tape itself, you could use a Ziploc bag with a couple of rubber bands, you could be doing anything like that, just so long as nothing can get down that standpipe, because anything that standpipe pushes the filtered water up and back into your pool, so whatever goes down will eventually find its way back into your pool. Right, once you get the standpipe covered, the top part of this from about there up is full of water. That water's got to be displaced before you can get to the sand. Now these units do not have a drain plug on them, unfortunately, so I have got a jiggle siphon, so I'll just be using that to get the siphon the water out, and leading it into a bigger pipe and running off down the bank, because there's no drain within close proximity to here. Once the water is out, I can then start trying to remove the sand. Now you've got 3 ways. I could either use a bucket, or a small bucket, or a tin, because you don't have a lot of room, so you can't have a big bucket. You could use a wet and dry vacuum cleaner, which is what I'll use, or you could use a yabby or bait pump if you have one. It can be just as effective. What you need to be aware of is at the bottom of the standpipe are your laterals. That is where the filtered water goes back into the pool. If they get damaged, you can't repair them, you have to replace them, and if your filter's that old that they're rigid and fixed, then you have to buy a new filter, you bug your filter, because you just can't get the things out. You can't replace them. So just be mindful of that as you get down a bit. Once you start getting down, but we'll cover that anyway as we proceed. Okay, after you've got the sand out, you will need to rinse everything. So you will need a hose, which you will have down here anyway because you've been filling your pool up. Just rinse out around there, suck all that water out, get rid of that water as well. Then your media. Now I've got 7 bags here. I have 3 bags of coarse and 4 bags of fine glass and something to cut open the bags. And you'll need the hose again, because the first and last thing you put in your pump is water. You put sufficient water to cover your laterals, put your media in, and then you top it up with water. But all that will cover in time. Okay, time to go. Okay, after you've disconnected these have little rubber bungs in there like that. Don't lose them. Make sure they stay on there, or if you would feel more comfortable, take the things out and put them somewhere. Because if you miss one, it will leak like a freaking sieve. You wouldn't believe something so small could cause much trouble by not being there. The other things I stressed earlier on, I'll stress it again now. When you're using Stiltsons on these things, be very gentle. Don't put down and wrench it. Just very, very gently turn it so that you don't break or strip anything. And then, yeah, that's these 3 pipes are off. So the next step is to take the collar screws out. Okay, so with the collar removed, that's it in the 2 pieces there. This thing now should move and hopefully lift up. Well, bugger me, that was quick work. Well, I'll be. Okay, well that was pretty freaking handy. Okay, so that's that removed. So we'll put this little sucker down here. And there is the standpipe, that thing there. So all the water that comes in goes down through there. It then filters through the fine sand. It then goes through the coarse sand. It then finds its way into the laterals, and the pressure blows the water up through that, into there, in through there, in through your bloody chlorinator, and back into your pool. Anything that goes down there will end up back in your pool, and you don't want that. So I will probably siphon a bit out of the top. In fact, I will. I'll start siphoning. Will be my next trick, to empty out that water and then get down to the sand. Okay, I've got the hose topping up the pool. So by the time I finish this, I should have enough water in there for the backwash. And this is siphoning out sufficiently. It's hard to see down there. Where's that special light? Okay, so the water's out, well, most of it, but there's the sand level there. You can see where the sand is, and yeah, it's a bit grey looking. So we'll start pulling that out. But first, before we do that, we cover up this standpipe. Okay, so this is the standpipe, and these are the laterals. Now, I was very lucky. These are the type that fold up. So they pull up like that. And when you pull them all up together, you're able to get it in or out of the top of the filter. Now, some of these were hard to close because grit over the years had got in there, and one of them, this bugger, he actually has a lip on the top. I need to put this down. It has a lip which you can't see because I don't want to fold it out there, which meant that it was very hard to actually close this one while it was still in. But I had to get a very skinny screwdriver and put in there and very gently prise it enough so that this could fold up. And once they all folded up, then out you come. Okay. As you can see, just a bit of water left in it now. These ones are fairly good. They don't have a receptacle at the bottom for the standpipe, but they do have a raised portion which fits into the bottom of the standpipe, so you know the centre. It's most important when you're putting it back in that your standpipe is dead centre up here, because that's where your selector goes on, and once you've got the sand and water in there you can't manoeuvre it. So you've got to make sure from the start that the standpipe is where you want it to be, but we'll be doing that shortly. Okay, as you can see down the bottom there's that lump sticking up out the bottom, and that's where the standpipe sits on, and that's the rest of it all emptied out and cleaned. So now it's just time to, first things first, you put your standpipe in place, then you add water up to an area past the laterals. Okay, in order to do this now with all the arms folded up of the standpipe, your laterals, that then fits straight in there. As you can see, it's a pretty tight fit, so you can't have anything else in there. Once you get that in, I can't do this while holding the phone, but I'll have to hold the standpipe with one hand and then fold the laterals out. Don't fold them flat, fold them out to about almost flat. So if at 90 degrees, so about 80 degrees or something like that. Okay, once you've got the water up over the laterals, you can't see the laterals, which is good because they're covered in water. It's now time to apply the first bag of media. Now just give your standpipe a bit of a wiggle to make sure that it is still in place and that the bottom of the standpipe is still over that little knob at the bottom of the thing. This is, as I said, you need to make sure that you keep this perfectly dead straight in the centre, and then you get your first bag of media, cover your standpipe, get your first bag of media, cut it and pour it in. The reason why you put water in before the media is you don't want the weight of the media on your laterals, so the water will help slow down the impact of the media on your laterals. So that's the reason for the water. Okay, off we go. Okay, I've taken the cover off the standpipe again, but first bag is in. I've got 3 bags of coarse, 4 bags of fine. Now you always put your coarse material in first, so that's 1 bag. The standpipe's pretty solid, but I'll keep tabs on it. Something I should have thought of to start with: if you measure your distances across, you'll get an idea of where the standpipe should be. Now it's about 155 mil, so around the 75 or thereabouts. If the centre of your standpipe's there both ways, you're pretty much dead centre. So I'll put 1 more bag in, re-measure, and after that it should be pretty solid, and you won't be in a position to move it without possibly damaging your laterals. So okay, next course, condom on. Okay, once you've got your 7 bags of, or however many bags of stuff in, time to fill it up to, well, the top, exactly where it was when you took your selector off. So you can see a bit where the sand is up to in there at the moment. And the hose is now filling up. Thank you. After that, just replace your selector, your collar clamp. Don't forget your 3 bungs when you're reconnecting your hose, and do them up. You may need a little bit of a plumber's tape, but maybe not. See how things go. Cheers.